Deputy Director Madam. First of all, I would like to welcome all of you, especially the new judicial officers who have just joined as a CJJ. So I heartily welcome you all. Respected Director, Sikkim Judicial Academy, respected Principal District Judge Sri K.W. Bhatia Sir, District and Session Judge Namchi, Jagat Sir, Mangan Subarna Madam, Special Division Jyoti Madam, Pakyam Ranjita Madam, officer and staff of this Judicial Academy by Deputy Director Madam Zaman Choden and Sesehang and others, because I don't remember, and probably I don't also know the name of the new judicial officers who have just joined us. At the outset, this is a topic which is quite difficult to deliberate. Though I am a master trainer in Ubuntu and all these e-committee projects and all, I am not a master trainer of all this legal investigation things, digital evidence and all these topics which the director sir has assigned to me. But I have tried my level best to, do some research on all these things, and maybe I'll be able to deliberate and deliver few important points and things which are there in the digital evidence. As we all know that now digitization and digital evidence is everywhere, because now the era has come where we are not in a position to live our life without the electronic gadgets. So right from our home up to our offices, everywhere we have this digital devices. Like now the government of Sikkim has also introduced the e-office, where we have to transact all the official business in the digital platform. We are disposing of, since this is a beginning only, we have not, the government has not, mandated that everything has to be transacted through the digital platform. But yes, we are processing the file through digital platform, and some of the departments like IT, SNT and all, they don't accept the file which are in the physical form. These departments are totally digitized and they are totally onboarded on the digital platform. So maybe a day will come when everything will be in the digital format only, nothing will be physical. And all the evidence, everything, all the documents, evidence, everything, whatever is required to prove a case before a court, that will also rest, or that will also be there in the digital format only. So it is very, very important for all of us to know that where the digital evidence lies, how to collect it, how you will process it, how you will use it as an evidence before the court. So first I'll deal with the topic, the digital crime scene. So I have prepared few PPTs regarding this digital platform, the digital crime scene. So let us go through the few of these slides. So electronic or digital evidence, let us first see what is. This is my definition. I have not copied anything from the book. I have just tried to give my own things to it. So electronic or digital evidence means any information that is either stored or transmitted in electronic form and includes data transmitted through digital audio, digital video, cell phones, computers, and so forth. There are so many things. Now smartphones, all these storage devices, everything. So any information that is either stored or transmitted in electronic form is digital evidence nowadays. So information that is stored, transmitted electronically is said to be digital. Whatever is transmitted electronically, that is digital. So how it becomes digital? All those data which gets transmitted through digital format is broken down into ones and zeros. I think everybody knows that. It's called the binary code. So all these data are broken down into digits. 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, all these things. So if an information transmitted or stored is broken down into binary codes and transmitted, then that is digital evidence or digital information. Now the second things which comes here is the digital crime scene. Digital crime scene is a crime scene where one could possibly find traces of digital evidence. So if we, as a judges who have dealt with many of the cases, I have respected district judges with me. All of us have dealt with so many cases, but during our time as a judicial officer, when we were the JNs, CJMs and all, we hardly dealt with the electronic evidences or digital evidence in a digital format. There used to be a physical form of evidence. Everything used to come to us in a physical form. But now everything has become digital. Slowly and gradually we are transforming ourselves towards the digitization. As you all know that court is totally digitized. Now if this CCTNS, then ICGS, all these things are, if this is operated in a way that it will be, all the charge sheet, all the documents, even the evidences will come through the electronic form, electronic media only. Now recently, 2-3 days back, I attended one meeting which was chaired by the Honorable Home Minister, Union Home Minister, Shri Amit Shah, where Honorable Minister was very, he was very concerned about the low, conviction rate in India and the loss of physical form of documents, evidences. So he was stressing on the digitization and disposal of the cases in digitally without the intervention of the physical forms, without any physical documents. So as for the Honorable Minister, I think in another 2 to 3 years everything will be in a digital form only. So that's why this CCTNS, ICJS and all these things have been introduced, and they have even amended the CRPC and Evidence Act to include all this electronic evidence as a piece of evidence which will be admissible in court. Of course, it was there in the Evidence Act prior to the amendment also, but now they are stressing on all these things. As far as practicable, don't use the physical evidences or documents. So you please, start disposing of the cases in a digital platform. Don't use it physically. That is what is trying to impress upon everyone. So the government of Sikkim, the preparation of the government of Sikkim was quite good. We have, most of the notifications we have already taken out. There are 61 notifications to be taken out under this new act. I only came to know when I attended that meeting, because that BPRND, that Bureau of Police Research and Development, it's an extended hand of the Department of the Police, which does all this research work So they have prepared all these things. What are the notifications you have to, you have to notify, what are, under which sections you have to, come up with the rules. Everything they have prepared, they have documented everything. So there are 61 notifications to be taken out, and we have, in the state, we have taken out almost 20-25 notifications till now. But there are a lot of rules to be framed, like e-summoning rules, video conferencing rules, although we already have the video conferencing rules of the High Court of Sikkim. But there are certain other rules to be, framed under the new CRPC. So everything will be digitized. Now we have to be, very efficient in using our laptops, computers, mobile phones, I don't know what, not and what. So anyways, a crime scene generally has physical and biological evidence like blood samples, hair, fibers, etc. So earlier days, all these things were considered as evidence, and only these things the investigating officers used to collect all these things only. These hair samples, blood samples, fibers, these, that, in a physical form. But nowadays, there is a presence of digital evidence and devices at the crime scene which might contain digital evidence. So, maybe, in a crime scene, we collect all those fingerprints, fiber traces, blood samples. So those are physical evidence in the physical form. But maybe, in that place of occurrence, there used to be, or there was, a CCTV camera installed, not on that particular area, in a particular place, but maybe at some distance. And after the offense, the photographs or the video of those perpetrators who committed the crime, and after the commission they were running away from the crime scene, that would have been recorded in some of those CCTV cameras. So that is also a part and parcel of our evidence nowadays. So not only the crime scene in a physical form, but you have to little bit expand your investigation and look around also. Maybe in other digital forms also you might get some kind of evidence. So in the present days, you might get evidence in all these devices also. In the digital evidence, you might get it in other forms also. A digital crime scene is any physical scene where potential evidence may reside. A crime scene is a physical, tangible environment where many evidence, including the digital evidence, may exist. That is what I was explaining. Digital evidence may also be in intangible form, like in all these things. Because what is tangible digital evidence? Tangible digital evidence means maybe the pen drive, maybe the SSD drive, any drive or any electronic device in a physical form that we consider as a tangible, which you can touch and see. But all these things, Facebook, browsing history, social media, all these things are intangible digital evidence. Intangible digital evidence which you will see and which you can retrieve only after going inside all these things. Now, devices which could be found at crime scene contain digital evidence. One must appreciate the existence of the digital evidence and be prepared to collect it from traditional sources as well as from the new sources. So, not only the traditional sources, but we will get evidence. Evidence will reside in all these digital sources also. So, we cannot miss all these things. Now, it is an information and data significant to a particular case that is stored, received or processed by an electronic device. This is what is digital evidence. It may be stored also, received also, or processed and electronically transferred also. Now, another important thing, maybe this is, this topic is much more relevant to the investigating officers, but since we are also in part and parcel of the, justice delivery system, so I have prepared few of these slides covering all this also. So in order to be processed and analyzed, evidence must first be identified. It might be possible that an evidence may be overlooked and not identified at all. Like I said, maybe there was one CCTV camera, maybe something else was also there, a pen drive or small device. Nowadays, even the pen and everything has all those recording devices and all. And if we do not look for the digital evidence or a tangible and intangible form of digital evidence in a crime scene, maybe we'll, miss a vital piece of evidence. So, evidence must first be identified. So it is very, very important that one has to identify the evidence first, where it lies, where it is residing, in what form, how and when. In case of a network, the interactions can be between the devices in the organization or across the globe by internet. So this is one of the most important part of the digital evidence. If it is stored and kept in a device, then the matter ends. You can just recover the device, you can place it before the court as an evidence. But what if the devices are interacting internationally beyond your boundaries? So because in a digital era and with the internet in your hands, it is possible maybe you are sending a data across your international boundaries to other countries also. So it is very important to trace all these things. How it was transmitted, when, how, where, and by what means, by which form, and by which machine you have done it. Because I think everybody knows that all the electronic devices which we use in our daily life, it contains a unique identification number. So it can be traced until and unless you are using the deep net or the dark net. Maybe in that case nobody can trace it, but we as normal persons, we use the surface net. So if you are using the surface net, then your device can be traced from any corner of the world. Means which device you are using, from which device it was transmitted, where it was received, in which device, because it has that unique identification number. So even evidence is never identified as relevant, it may never be collected and processed. So if it is not identified, that you will not be able to process it, use it as a piece of evidence before the court. Digital crime scene. Digital evidence can be collected from many sources like mobile phone, digital cameras, hardware, CDs, USB, memory devices, etc. So many things. I don't know. These are the few examples which I could recollect and incorporate. There might be so many other things, where the digital evidence may lie or may reside. Black boxes, social media, email, external drives, etc., etc., etc. So many things. So proper care should be taken while handling the digital evidence, as it can be altered easily. So long time back, in 2016, I think in 2017, the early part of the 2017, I attended one 4 days training course at National Police Academy in Hyderabad regarding this cyber offense. It was an intense and rigorous training, but it was a very good training where they were, talking about all this alteration of the digital SMS and all these things. So one of our resource person at that point of time was Mr. Harold DeCosta. He was one of the founder member of this Asian Cyber Network, something. I don't remember the name of that organization, but he was a very, very intelligent person. So what he did, he was just trying to explain to us that how dangerous is this internet and the digital things. What he did, he asked one of our friends, one of our fellow participants, to write one SMS and send it to another. And I don't know how he did. Before that SMS reached the other person to whom it was addressed, he intercepted in between and he changed the content of the SMS. So like I sent one SMS to Jagat sir saying that let us meet today. He just changed it and he put the word using let us kill today. So that can be done. So that is what he was trying to demonstrate, that anything is possible in the digital world. So alteration of data is possible in the digital world. If you have all this know-how, if you are an, that internet or computer kida, then you can do it. So once changed, the evidence cannot be analyzed further. And hash value can be calculated for the evidence file and later verified if there were any changes made to the file or not. So outside we were just discussing this hash value only. That time when I was attending that meeting, and after that meeting for quite a long period of time, I used to remember how to calculate the hash value. Even I used to remember how you can trace the fake emails being sent. Everything was taught to us, but now I have forgotten everything because I have not been able to use it, or I am not in practice, you can say. So hash value can be calculated. This is one of the easiest way. So maybe for our senior judicial officers, though, we have attended so many training programs like this before also, so we are little bit aware of all these things, that you can calculate the hash value. Then every document has its own hash value. Even if you changed one single letter of your document, it will change your hash value. It is so sensitive. So all these things we know. Maybe for the judicial officers who have joined us, maybe it is useful for you also. So sometimes important evidence might reside in the volatile memory. Gathering volatile data requires special techniques and skills. So digital memory, digital evidence are very volatile evidence. Like it can be altered. It can just be vanished from the memory also. Even during the transportation, if you are transporting any evidence, like if some evidence is there in this laptop, so I am transporting this evidence, this laptop with me to some other place in my gadi, then also there are chances that some of the evidences, a few of these documents might get lost during the transportation also. So gathering volatile data requires special techniques, so maybe this is not that important for us because we are not gathering the data. We only analyze the evidence, we don't collect it. Now, few of the guidelines for collecting and handling the digital evidence. Image computer media using a write blocker tools to ensure that the no data is added to the suspected device. Now, what does this mean? This means if some data, some file is a piece of evidence which is residing in my laptop, then if it has to be analyzed, forensic experts needs this data to be analyzed. if they log into my computer, log into my laptop, and if they analyze the document, that what happens, that login time, everything will be recorded in my laptop. So later on, defense might say that this evidence was tampered. Why? Because somebody logged into that document in this particular point of time. Then how you will analyze the document then? There is a way to analyze those documents without tampering or without altering those time and date footprint, digital time and date footprint. How you will do it? You will just image it. There is a process. I am not technically that sound to explain all these things, how you will image a document, how you will image or clone the documents from your device, but there is a process which is called imaging. If you image it, then it is like mirror. If you place something in front of the mirror, then what you will see? The exact image the other side of the mirror. If you put, a bundle of 1 lakh rupees before the mirror, then it will be doubled. That is the easiest way to double your money. So imaging is something like that. You will just take the image of that document without disturbing its date, time and other footprints. So that way you can, later on, defense cannot say that somebody logged into this document or somebody altered this document or verified or something. They did something to this document. Now there is one more way by which you can analyze a document without disturbing it. Not analysis, but you can just, log into the computer and check those documents. Because what is happening in most of the cases, if something is lying in my laptop and if my laptop is closed, then what the police will do, they will just come and open it. Moment they open it, that logging in print will be recorded. So that will destroy the evidence. Maybe there are chances, there are, the programs, there are software, or I don't know, maybe it is a software or a malware, I don't know. But if that malware is there, if somebody who is not authorized to log into my laptop, if he logs into my laptop, the entire data will be deleted automatically. That thing also be there. So you can use the write blogger. This is a device. I used to have the photo of all these things, but I don't know where it has gone. Maybe it is in my computer only, but I could not find it. There is a small device which is called the write blogger. If you connect your computer through the write blogger, then those digital date and time logging footprints will not be recorded in your computer. You can log in and log out without changing the date and time. So that write blogger is also there. So establish and maintain the chain of custody right from collection stage. So this is very important. If a document, a digital evidence is collected but chain of custody is not maintained as the way it has to be maintained, because why it is to be maintained? It is to be maintained to show that these documents exchange hands these many times and there was no alteration, addition or the distraction of the evidence which was residing in that particular device. Chain of custody is very important, because if chain of custody is not maintained, what happens? This document was given to somebody or somebody took it, then what he did, God knows. So a doubt will be created in a document. So maintaining a chain of custody is very important. Document everything that has been done at the crime scene. Now use tools and methods that have been tested and evaluated to validate their accuracy and reliability, like this write blogger, imaging, and there are so many other things also. Because I am talking about all these devices which I was taught way back in 2016, 17, 18. Maybe there are so many new techniques. Care should be taken that the evidence does not go anywhere without being properly traced. Sometimes evidence must be transported from one place to another, either physically or through a network. So care should be taken that the evidence is not changed while in transit. So sometimes, like I was mentioning, that you have to transfer or transport your device containing the evidence physically. You are carrying the laptop and going somewhere. That is also kind of transfer. In that also there is a risk. Now another is transferring through a network. Like if you have to transfer it by a network, then there are chances of addition, alteration or deletion of the evidence residing in that particular document or a device. Analysis is generally done on the copy of the real evidence. That is what imaging is. Copy of the real evidence. So they will not do it in the original evidence. They will copy it and analyze it. So this is something which I prepared regarding the digital crime scene. Although what I felt is, all this digital crime scene, how it is to be, cordon off, how you gather the evidence, how you collect the evidence, maybe this is much more important for the investigating officers and not for the judicial officers. But it is always better to know that how it should be collected, and if somebody fails to collect the evidence in the way it has to be collected or transported or analyzed, then you can always say that there is some doubt in the evidence, so it may not be proper for me to consider this as a piece of evidence. That is why I have prepared this. So I hope there are no questions from your side, because I may not be able to answer all those questions, but because I have already told you that I am not an expert in this field. Whatever I have learned is from the internet, browsing the internet, and from some of the books, and from all those PPTs and slides which were provided to me during the time when I attended few of these kind of trainings outside the state. So this was my presentation. So if you have any questions, just for informality I am asking. If you have any question, you are welcome to ask. I will try my best to answer it, but don't ask such questions which I cannot answer. Before I move on to the next topic, I would like to inform you that I have not prepared any slides, I have not prepared any PPTs regarding the SOP for audio video recording under the Bharatiya Nyaya Samhita. You can just see it from the BPRND portal, or you can just type BPRND, you will get it. It is there in their website. BPRND is Bureau of Police Research and Development. It is a police wing where they do all kind of research in this digital evidence, how to collect it. Not only in digital evidence, they do research in every field where the police is involved or where the police is having problems. So they have prepared the detailed slides regarding these SOPs. So you can just go through it whenever you get time. Now the next slide, next thing which we'll be dealing today is the digital forensic life cycle. So I prepared a few slides in these also. So I have few slides regarding the digital forensic life cycle also. So digital forensic life cycle is a methodological approach designed to ensure that digital evidence is handled with utmost care and precision. The stages from identification to documentation plays a critical role in maintaining the integrity and the reliability of the forensic process. By following this structured life cycle, forensic investigators can provide credible evidence that withstands legal scrutiny and helps in administration of justice. So, right from the time of collection of evidence till it reaches to the court, till the disposal of the case, how you will maintain all those digital evidences. That is the life cycle. Because after the case is closed, after a criminal case is closed, then or disposed of, then the life cycle of the evidence will also be closed from that day onwards. Till then, how it will be maintained. Now, the digital forensic life cycle typically involves the 5 core stages. So, first, identification, preservation, analysis, documentation and presentation of the finding. So, first and foremost is the identification of the evidence. This stage involves recognizing and determining the potential sources of digital evidence, like we have discussed in the earlier slides also. Recognizing and determining the potential sources of digital evidences. Where it resides. So just to identify those things is important. If you miss one of the devices, then you might lose the entire evidence which you were supposed to collect or produce before the court. During this phase, the forensic investigator identifies devices, data and relevant information that might be pertinent to the investigation. So they will identify it. Common sources like computer, mobile phones, devices, these are all external devices which I am talking about. Servers, cloud storage. So it may reside in any of these, even in the cloud. Nowadays cloud is very, very prominent and very important. Even all the mobile phones they have, now everything resides in our cloud. Recently I also received a message saying that your cloud storage is full, you have to pay something to get the extra storage. Identifying data sources, devices and data sources. First and foremost, the surveying the crime scene, then identifying the devices and data sources. Which device might contain the evidence? Then recognizing the potential evidence location. Like I said, where it resides, in which of the files, sub-files, there are so many things. Now, next, in the life cycle comes the preservation of data. Once potential evidence is identified, the next step is preservation. This involves securing and preserving the integrity of the digital evidence to prevent tampering, alteration or destruction. So once you retrieve the data, once during investigation data is retrieved, identified and located, then the next stage comes the preservation of data. How you will preserve the data so that it will not lose its integrity. Because like I said, if somebody logs into your computer or the device where the data is lying or residing, and if all those date time imprint is recorded, then there is always a point which the defense will raise saying that this was altered, tampered. And if somebody has to collect some evidence from this laptop when it is running and on, then you are not supposed to switch it off. If you switch it off, then also there are chances that some of the documents might be lost. If it is on, then keep it like that. And if a laptop or any of the electronic device is off it's not running and it's off, then you have to keep it off if you do not have any idea, or if you are not an expert in analyzing the devices and the documents residing in that device, then you are not supposed to own the device and start fiddling with it, because that is very dangerous, because it will hamper the integrity of the data. Chain of custody protocols are established to maintain a detailed log to show as to who handled the evidence and when. So like chain of custody gives you an idea that who took the evidence, under whose custody the evidence was. It will create a log in how many times the evidence changed hands and who were the persons who handled those evidences. Now, method of preservation, imaging of the digital evidence, like I said, how you will preserve it, maintaining chain of custody documentation, using right blogger tools to prevent changes to the original evidence, all these things. These are few of the instances, or these are few of the methods by which you can preserve the evidence which have been collected. Maybe there are so many other things also. Now, another thing is the collection. The collection involves the systematic gathering of the digital evidence from identified sources. So, once you have identified the evidence, then what you will do? You will preserve the evidence, then only it will be collected. This is in a sequence. It is not that you will just collect it first, then you will do the other things. First you have to preserve it. Like if it is, laptop is if it is running, then you will keep it like this. If it is off, keep it like that. So that is how you will preserve it. Then you collect it, because you are not supposed to collect everything in a device. Only those files or those documents which is considered to be potential evidence in a particular case, that part only you will collect it, not the entire thing. These steps require careful handling to ensure that data is collected in a forensically sound manner without altering the original evidence. Like there are so many methods, like right blogger, imaging, maybe there are other methods also. Now, extracting data from various digital devices and storage media, capturing volatile data. This volatile data is RAM. I think you all know that there are two kinds of memories in our computer. One is ROM, another is RAM. Random access memory. So this is volatile because this will be deleted. This is a temporary storage only. So this will get deleted as and when it becomes full. Then it will be deleted. Again, if you are opening some other files, then it will overwrite all those data which was there in this RAM. So if some document, some digital evidence is residing in a RAM of your computer and it is about to be full, and if you access some more files in your computer, if you open some more files, then it will just erase the memory or the evidence which is already residing in the RAM. So, capturing volatile data. So that is why they are saying that you are not supposed to open your device if you find, if you are of the opinion that some evidence lie or reside in that particular device. This could be one of the reasons. There are many more reasons, but this could be one of the reasons. Because once you open some more files, it has the tendency of erasing the already the residing document in the RAM. So documenting the collection process meticulously. So these are all for the IOs to do. If you document it properly, then it will help in securing the conviction, and that will not compromise the integrity of the data. Now, another thing is the examination. Once it is collected, after preservation you will collect it, then once it is collected, it will be examined. During the examination phase, forensic experts scrutinize and analyze the collected evidence to identify relevant information. So what is relevant for a case, they will identify it. This involves using specialized tools and techniques to recover deleted files, analyze metadata, and uncover or recover hidden data. So there are, there are techniques and tools through which you can even recover the deleted data also. Because what I was told is, if you delete something from your computer, then for us, for laymen like us, it gets deleted. But those files will remain somewhere in the memory of the computer. So if you have that knowledge and the technique to recover those data, you can recover it. But this is not for us to recover. Maybe some, technically sound person can recover it. So this is what they are talking about. Analyzing the metadata. What is metadata? Metadata is the data of data. That imprint of the data. From which computer, how transmitted, what was the bandwidth, all these things is metadata. Time, date, the size of the file, everything. This is called metadata. That is data of data. So why this metadata is important? To identify and preserve the file. Metadata is important. And uncover or recover hidden data. So there might be hidden data also. You can just protect it, or you may hide it in some of the file inside your computer. So all those things, so tracing all those things is important. So these forensics experts, they will, I think they enter into the each and every corner of your computer and they can collect the data, the required information from your laptop. Maybe for us it is not possible, because sometimes what happens is, like long time back Jagat sir was sharing with me that he wrote one judgment 7 times. Why? Because we don't have all those ideas. No? We only use our laptops as a typewriter, nothing more than that, because we are not in computer experts, nor we have done some kind of diploma in engineering in computers. So what he was sharing is, he wrote the entire judgment, saved it. Because now I can see that there are ways and means how you can save your document. You can save it in the desktop, you can save it in some external memory, you can save it in some other part of your computer. But that idea, now after so many years, I can now save my file in a particular place where I want to save it. But earlier, when all these things was very new and we were not very conversant with the laptops and the computers, that used to happen to me also. I also read, I was searching for the orders and the judgment the entire day. I don't know where it just vanished from my laptop. It was there in the computer, but it was saved in some other memory. So something happened to Jagat sir also. So it is something very important for us, because if you have to write one judgment 7 times, so then you will get 7 memos from the Honorable High Court that why 5 disposals are not there, isn't it? So it is very difficult. Analyzing the file system and data structures, recovering deleted, encrypted or hidden data, extracting metadata, so all these things. So this encrypted also, you can just encrypt your document. You can protect your document by a password or some other kind of encryption. like PDF document with password. Only the person having the password can open it and others. So, but those passwords, those encryption are for us only. The person who is an expert in all these things, he can open it. Even the cyber experts, cyber forensic experts, they can open it. It will take time, but they can open it. They have all those backdoor entries and all these documents. How they will do it, I don't know, but they can open it. The analysis phase is where the extracted and examined data is interpreted to draw meaningful conclusion. This involves correlating the findings with the context of the investigation, identifying patterns and reconstructing events. So once everything is done, then they will analyze all those data to correlate with the crime, to correlate with the another document, correlate with the another, devices. Correlating data from different sources, conducting timeline analysis to reconstruct data. So timeline analysis also is very important. One after another, from where it went, where and at what time, how it was transmitted, all those timelines. Identifying patterns and anomalies. So data transmitted patterns also. Now, the final thing is the presentation of report. Once everything is done, once it is analyzed, once the forensics expert identified the document or the evidence which is pertinent to a particular case, and once he analyzed it, once he collected the metadata, he collected everything whatever is required to preserve it. Once that is done, he will examine it just to see that whether this evidence correlates with the case, or whether this particular piece of evidence which I found in a particular machine is relevant in this case or not. So once that is done, then he will prepare the report accordingly. So in the presentation stage, the findings are compiled into a clear, concise and understandable format for stakeholders such as law enforcement agencies, legal professionals, courts, etc. So they will prepare the report like the RFSL prepared the examination reports. They will also prepare the examination report where they will say that this was extracted from these, this was preserved, first identified, then preserved, then it was extracted, this was analyzed using these, right blogger, or this was analyzed by imaging. Then they will write a report that this was not corrupt, there was no malware. Because these are very important. No? If there is malware reciting some of the documents, then that malware will compromise the integrity of that data. So he will give in his report the entire thing, like we get the other reports like RFSL reports. You must have seen the RFSL reports where they give everything. Na? If they are analyzing a particular drug, then they will give the detail of the drug, name, batch number, everything. And after the analysis, what technique they used to analyze those drugs, and how they come to the conclusion that this is a particular kind of drug, like this is a codeine-based drug, this is some other based drug like marijuana, this, that. So they will also write that also, how they analyze, what was the technique used, and what were the chemicals used in analyzing those drugs. So in digital forensic analysis also, they will write everything in their report, how it was analyzed, whether there was some missing data, or whether that data was properly protected, properly conserved or not. So everything will be there in the report. So once they do this, they will prepare this report for the consumption of the judges, lawyers, police and all. The preparing detailed forensic report, creating visual aids, chart timelines, providing expert testimonial report if necessary. So after preparing this, maybe someday the court will call the person, the RFSL guy who examined this data for his evidence before the court. So like I said, once right from the time of identification, collection, preservation, collection, analysis, once it reaches the court also, evidence will not die. It will remain there. But once the case gets closed, then the life cycle of the evidence will also be closed. So till this time one has to preserve and conserve this digital evidence. Unlike the physical evidence, like we have discussed, that these are very volatile and there are chances of alteration, addition or deletion of this kind of data. So, thank you. This is the digital forensic life cycle of a digital evidence. How long it lives, that is what I was trying to present. So maybe, I was able to give something to you. I'm not talking about the seniors because they are much more, they know more than me. But maybe for the juniors, maybe it was helpful for them. This will help you in the days to come to analyze and interpret all these digital evidences whenever it comes to you. Maybe in another 2 to 5 years, you will have all these things. You have to analyze everything. Now the day has come. If you do not have any idea of the computers, then you cannot even be appointed as a clerk. Because that is the first and foremost thing nowadays. Because e-office, what is e-office? E-office means everything has to be done through the network, computer, laptop. So if you do not know how to open a computer, then you are a gone case. I don't know how far you all are taking this, but please, try to go through these laptops and computers, and the day will come when you will have to type the entire thing by yourself. That is also there. The first and foremost thing that I would suggest you that you start learning how to type. Yeah, if your stylus wasn't late, then you are the judge, you are the steno, you are everything. Because everybody knows we have done that. And even still today, in my office also, I typed all my notes by myself. I'm not saying that I don't have this stenos. I have 2 stenographers, but it is better to type yourself rather than to rely on them. Because last time what happened was I dictated few notes, then I asked them to get the draft. Then after an hour or so, I got the draft, and I was going through the draft. There were, few lines missing in between the drafts. And I was not been able to recollect what I, dictated that time. So it was very difficult for me to recollect all those lines which I have dictated, because until and unless you get that line right, your note will not be complete. So it is very difficult. So you please start using your fingers. If you can't use your 5 fingers, you can use 2 also. But start using it. This is for your own good. 2-finger typing is also, there are many of us who use only 2 fingers, but our speed is good. But we are good in all those things. Anyways, this was on the lighter side. I don't know whether I will be able to, engage you for 3 hours. So anything, any questions or anything, like I said in my, previous deliberation also. So don't ask anything which is beyond my jurisdiction. Now, after the tea break, I'll be dealing with another topic. This is the digital evidence chain. Like, till now we have discussed the collection of evidence, identification, preservation, collection. Then we touched upon the chain of custody also, why it is important to maintain the chain of custody, how all those logs would be maintained. Now, I am presenting the detailed presentation. I would say the detailed presentation, but maybe it's not that detailed. But yes, there are few slides which I will be dealing with regard to the digital evidence chain also. So, in digital forensic, chain of custody refers to the chronological documentation or digital or paper trail that records the sequence of collection, control, transfer, analysis and disposition of digital evidence. So this is how the chain is maintained, right from the collection of the evidence till the disposition of the evidence, till it reaches the courts and somebody comes before the court and deposed regarding the digital evidence, or until the digital evidence is used by the court as an evidence. Now, chain of custody determines how digital forensic evidence moves or changes hands during its lifespan. Like, before this topic, we discussed the lifespan, that life cycle of the digital evidence. Now, the chain of custody determines how the hands will be changed from the custody of the one person, where and when, at what time the evidence changed hand. So maintain that log is equally important like maintaining the other things. Like also in physical evidence also, you have to maintain the chain of custody. Like if the investigating officer has seized the physical evidence, what he does, he will seize it, he will keep it in the malkhana. Then once the analysis gets over, he will submit it to the court, and in the court it also goes to the court's malkhana. So in between it will change hands. Like from collection it comes to the police station, from police station if some kind of analysis or some kind of examination of the evidence is required, then it might go to the RFSL also. So once it changes hands from the hand of the IU, when it is put in the malkhana, it will be recorded. When, what date, time, everything will be recorded, handed over or deposited in the malkhana. That will be maintained. If that piece of evidence goes to the RFSL, Regional Forensic Science Laboratory, we also have RFSL in Sikkim, it's in the Ranipur, and in some cases, like in Sikkim, we do not have the expertise to examine the DNA. We do not have the expertise for DNA sequencing. So, in those cases, we send all these samples outside the state, like in Guwahati, Kolkata, and sometimes in Delhi also. So, If it is sent to RFSL Ranipur for examination, then also that log will be maintained. From police station it went to RFSL. So once it is examined and comes back also, that log will be maintained. Once it is deposited in the court, that log will again be maintained. From Thana it came to the court and it will be recorded. Then after that it will be produced, and as and when required it will be produced before the court. Like the physical evidence, even the digital evidence, chain of custody has to be maintained. Why it has to be maintained? Why it is necessary to maintain the chain of custody? To protect the data or the evidence and to protect the integrity of the data, so that if something goes wrong or if there is any kind of allegation of alteration, deletion or something like that, then you can trace it, or you can produce the witness saying that it was received by me and I forwarded it to this authority or this place for examination or custody or something, whatever it may be, so that we can trace the movement also. So chain of custody in digital forensic forms an electronic trail organized chronologically to make it easier to determine where evidence was initially gathered and what has happened to it since then. So it is in chronological sequences from the date of collection till the disposition. Keeping track of the evidence is crucial if criminal cases go to trial, because once it comes to the court, then all these things will be questioned before the court. From here, how it reached the RFSL, where is the log, who took it, but by what means, when. So all these things will be questioned before the court. So in such situation, a chain of custody documentation ensures that whoever was in charge of the evidence at any given time can be known quickly and summoned to testify during the trial if required. So if you have maintained the chain of custody, then you will be able to pinpointly say that at this particular point of time, or at that particular point of time, which is a doubt has created, or where the question arises that how it changed the hand, then you can trace it through the log or the chain of custody document and produce the reliable evidence to establish the fact that this thing was sent to this for examination and thereafter it came here again. So that way you can trace it wherever it moves. And if you maintain the chain of custody, then it will be also easier in the court to establish that this is a genuine piece of evidence and there is no alteration or addition in the evidence. Now, need to maintain chain of custody forms which provides permanent record as to how digital evidence has been obtained, dealt with and handled. These forms must be updated whenever somebody new has the opportunity to examine and analyze sensitive digital evidence. So, the forms has to be maintained, because I don't know in Sikkim how it is maintained, because I am out from the judicial proceedings for quite some time. So whether it is digitally maintained or it is physically maintained, that I cannot say as of now, but they are maintaining it. They used to maintain it earlier also. So it has to be maintained, and these forms contains a description of the electronic evidence, often including the file names or the hardware information. So how you will maintain? You have to keep the description also, description of the evidence. in what form that evidence was there, whether it is in the form of, hardware, whether it is a pen drive, CD, or an external drive. Then method for collecting that evidence, such as seizing, how it was collected, from where it was seized, where it was deposited before it was handed over or before it changed hand, detail about the physical location in which digital evidence has been stored, check-in and check-out details, verifying who has access to the evidence at any given point of time. So all these things has to be recorded in the chain of custody document. Now, why chain of custody is important? So first and foremost, it is for us, because question will be there, lot of questions will be there before the court. Admissibility in the court. When evidence is included in legal proceeding, its authenticity stands trial as well. Because even as a judges, we have to look at these evidence from the eyes of the, what do you call it, from wearing the specs of doubt. Because you cannot just rely on these things. You cannot say that this is produced by the police, so I will just admit it as an evidence, because there are process. Because as a judge, we are independent person. Neither will blindly believe the police, nor we blindly believe the defense side. We will believe only those things which are produced and proved before the court. So admissibility in the court. When evidence is included in legal proceeding, its authenticity stands trial as well. So chain of custody is important to ensure the reliability of the evidence. So when evidence itself is looked from the angle of doubt, then chain of custody is one such procedure. If you maintain it properly, then to a great extent it will help the prosecution, or it will help us to establish the authenticity of the evidence. Because if you do not maintain the chain of custody, what happens? Nobody can trace it. So it will become doubtful, even if nobody has done anything to those evidences, those digital records which were seized and kept in the custody. But a doubt will always be created. So if you maintain this, then nobody can say that there were certain unauthorized persons, or there were certain unauthorized access given to this evidence. So these are unreliable evidence. Maintaining investigative accountability. A chain of custody demonstrates the accountability of each person who handled the digital evidence. So maybe for us, we do not handle the digital evidence. We only see the evidence produced before the court, and we decide whether to admit this in a particular case and to rely on this or not. That only. But during the course of investigation, like police, then RFSL, those forensics experts, so they will handle this evidence. So if somebody does something fishy with the evidence which are sent, like for an example, if the RFSL experts tries to manipulate the evidence, digital evidence, then at least you can say that up to the police station it was okay, it was fine, everything was fine. Like for an example, when digital evidence was collected, hash value was calculated. Then Once it was sent to the RFSL, hash value was calculated and sent. But when it comes back from the RFSL, if after that, if somebody calculates the hash value and if there is a change in the hash value, then you can say that something went wrong in the RFSL, isn't it? Something went wrong in the RFSL because now after the evidence came back from the RFSL, there is a change in the hash value. So if no chain of custody is maintained, then what happens? These things will not be calculated. Change nobody can trace it. So that is why this is important. So this helps this helps identify the potential issues or error that might arise during the investigation. So you can just make someone accountable for fiddling with the evidence. Establishing timelines, the chain of custody records the date and time of each transfer or handling of the digital evidence. When and at what date the evidence was handled or transferred. कति बेला र कुन दिन कति बेला कुन टाइममा चाहिँ एभिडेन्स एउटा जग्गाबाट अर्को जग्गामा गयो या एउटा ह्यान्डबाट अर्को मान्छेको हातमा गयो, त्यो एउटा ट्रेस बस्छ. This helps to establish a chronological timeline of events which is essential for reconstructing the sequence of actions. कहाँबाट कहाँ गयो, कहाँबाट कहाँ फर्केर आयो, everything will be recorded so that you can keep a timeline of everything. Facilitating collaboration in multi-jurisdictional or cross-agency investigations, sharing digital evidence requires an unbroken chain of custody. Like I said, police को बड़ा RFSL में जान्छ, RFSL बड़ा फेरि maybe हाम्रो RFSL ले गर्नु सकेन अरे, then it has to be sent to CFSL, Central Forensic Lab. So as and when the evidence changes hands, then that timeline will be maintained. This helps to establish a chronological timeline of events. So every time it changes, log maintained हुन्छ. Facilitating collaboration. So यहाँबाट RFSL transfer भयो, from RFSL it goes to CFSL. So एउटा जुरिसडिक्सनबाट अर्को जुरिसडिक्सनमा या क्रस एजेन्सी, एउटा एजेन्सीबाट अर्को एजेन्सीमा, मेबी सिक्किम पुलिस इज इन्भेस्टिगेटिङ, सिक्किम पुलिसकोबाट भिजिलेन्समा जानु सक्छ, भिजिलेन्सबाट मेबी सिबिआई कोमा जानु सक्छ. सो यसरी डेटा सेयर हुन्छ र अनब्रोकन चेन मेन्टेन हुन्छ. हामीले यो चेन अफ कस्टडी डकुमेन्ट मेन्टेन गर्यौँ भने पुलिसकोबाट भिजिलेन्स गयो, भिजिलेन्सबाट सिबिआई गयो, सिबिआईबाट दिल्ली पुलिसकोमा गयो भन्नु सकिन्छ नि. वी क्यान कीप अन ट्र्याकिङ अल दिस थिङ्स बिकज लाइक आई सेड, डिजिटल एभिडेन्स अर डिजिटल रेकर्ड हेज नो बाउन्ड्रिज. इभन इन्टरनेसनली पनि जानु सक्छ. हामीलाई यहाँ इफ समथिङ इज देयर as collected by the police as an evidence in Sikkim today, maybe that is required by Interpol also. उनीहरूको पनि connected matter हुन सक्छ. Cyber crime, cyber offenses are like that only. All of us are receiving all these calls now from international numbers. So if this is a big fraud or big scam, international scam, then maybe whatever we recovered here may have to be transferred even to the foreign countries also. So that this chain of custody will help us to track the evidence and make sure that the integrity of the data or the evidence is secured. So this ensures that all parties involved can trust the integrity and authenticity of the shared evidence. कसले छुयो सबभन्दा ठुलो कुरो त्यही हो. Who all have dealt with the evidence, that will be recorded. Now, compliance with legal and ethical standards. Adhering to a strict chain of custody process aligns with the legal and ethical standards governing digital forensic investigation. Failure to establish a proper chain can lead to legal challenges, compromise investigation, etc. Because for defense, this is the biggest playground where they can play. They can play in so many ways. यहाँबाट यहाँ गएको कसरी गयो, यहाँ आउँदासम्म it was like this, त्यहाँ पुग्दाखेरि it changed, something new has come, that, so many things can come, no? And we all know that in before the court everything has to be proved beyond reasonable doubt. So if no chain of custody is maintained, that there is doubt everywhere. That's why this is important. Building trust and credibility, a proper chain of custody process enhances the trust and credibility of the digital forensic investigation also. Even during the investigation also, this is very important. If during investigation, if the digital evidence or the digital things changes hand, then you have to record it so that a chain of custody document is maintained and a trust and credibility is built during the investigation also. Now it will be on the darker side. Police le pata bada kaka diyo kosle ke gore, nobody knows bhanne huncha, then a doubt will be created. So in each and every step, whenever a digital document, not only the digital document, even the physical form of documents, I feel that log has to be maintained. Avoiding contamination, any unauthorized access or alteration of the evidence during its handling can significantly impact the credibility and veracity of the findings. So if you do not maintain the chain of custody and if something has been done by someone, either knowing or unknowingly, then even during the examination also, it will affect the examination. Maybe the proper result, you will not get the proper result. It ensures protection of information and securing the integrity of the investigation. Identify potential data breaches. Tracking the chain of custody helps identify potential data breaches or unauthorized access to the digital evidence. So like I said, up to this, it was okay. The evidence was intact. But after it went to that hand, then there was something wrong in the evidence, or something went wrong in the evidence or the digital form of document, that you can say somebody has unauthorizedly access. So who? The person who was handling that data at that particular point of time. Because if at the end of the day that data was handed over, that evidence was handed over to me, and if it is documented that that particular evidence was with me, then I will be accountable for its integrity and preservation. So a chain of custody will help you make accountable someone if something goes wrong. How can the chain of custody be assured? Like we discussed this earlier also, never ever work with the original evidence. The biggest consideration that needs to be taken care of while dealing with digital evidence is that the forensics expert has to make a full copy of the evidence for forensic analysis. So full copy. And how you make the full copy? It is not that you will just, like us, we can also copy, no? If you press Ctrl C, it will be copied, and if you press Ctrl V, it will be pasted. So that we can also do. But if it is an evidence, a digital evidence, then you are not supposed to copy like that, because that will leave the date and time logging imprint, which might be questioned later when you use the data as an evidence before the court. So you have to image it. Then if the forensic expert, the cyber experts are analyzing the data, then they have to copy it and you can analyze the data in the copy form, not the original evidence. Ensuring storage media is sterilized. It is important to ensure that the examiner's storage device is forensically clean when acquiring the evidence. So if the computer or the machine in which the forensics expert is analyzing the evidence is infected with some kind of malware or the virus, then also there is a chance that data might get erased or corrupt. So they have to ensure that the storage media is clean. Maybe in the pen drive you copy something and send it to the RFSL for examination, but you did not know that your pen drive was infected with some kind of malware, some kind of virus. So when you send the data, half of the data is alright, but in half of the data there is something else. It can happen. So you have to make sure that the storage media is sterilized, it's clean. Why this is important for us? Because this question will come from the defense side. So if we discuss all these things today itself, before we go to the court and deal with these kind of evidences, then at least we'll have a vague idea about all these things now. Because defense will always say that, because I have also faced in few of the cases, I have also faced this question. तपाईको कम्प्युटरमा चाहिँ भाइरस थिएन भनेर के प्रुफ छ भनेर. There was a great lawyer in Sikkim who unfortunately passed away, Mr. Chettri. He was a very good criminal lawyer. He asked this question. There was one pen drive in one of the criminal matter where the CCTV footage was there. So he was raising this kind of questions. So that day I also did not realize, I was not aware of all these things, and I have never, gone to all these things. So I was also confused how he raise this issue. But after going through all these things and after research, which I won't say research, but when I read all these documents and all these articles and all, then I could gather now that this is also important. Because what I found is, if there is a malware, then that malware can affect your data. Not only the data, there are certain kind of malware that will completely erase your data also. They will just eat your data and you cannot recover it. That kind of malware is also there. So if that malware is there in your computer, that means the entire thing is gone. If the examiner's storage media is infected with malware, it can escape into the machine being examined and all the evidence might be corrupt. Now, proper care should be taken while handling digital evidence, as it can be changed easily. This is very important. Care has to be taken because it can be changed and altered. Because these are in digital forms. If you know the ways and means how to change all these things, then you can. It is difficult to change something in a physical form, because if you override it, also it is visible. But in digital form, it may not be visible. An hash value can be calculated for the evidence file and later checked if there were any changes made to the file or not. Sometimes important evidence might reside in a volatile memory, like we discussed, RAM. Gathering volatile data requires special techniques. So this is all about the digital chain of custody. Basically, the idea behind maintaining the chain of custody in a digital document is to preserve the integrity of the data, because unlike the physical evidence, these digital evidence are more volatile, which can be erased, changed and altered easily. Like in my first deliberation, I gave you an example of the training session which I attended in National Judicial Police Academy at Hyderabad, where that SMS which was sent, the text was something else, and when it reached the destination, the text was something else. So if that can be done, then why not this? This can also be done. So thank you. This is the another topic which we have discussed today. Like I said, I will not be dealing with this SOP for audio video recording. You can just take some time and browse the internet and go through the BPRND, this SOPs and all. It is there. There is a long document of I think more than 100 pages where they have discussed each and everything, all these SOPs. Investigation SOPs they have a different set of SOPs for investigation, different set of SOPs for forensics experts. Everything is there. This audio video recording, how it is handled, how it has to be preserved, how you have to record it. Because now, even after coming into force this new CRPC, this Bharatiya Nagarik Suraksha Sanhita, now all the investigation and the crime scene has to be documented, and you have now IOs needs to have one good quality mobile phone or the camera, and if you are seizing something, then you have to record it. Now once you record it, you have to upload it in CCTNS. And now what is happening is, like you, even me, all of us, we are not an expert cameraman, and we are not the director of the Bollywood also. We have not produced any films, so we do not know from which angle the recording has to be done. And what is happening, seizure took place, everything is recorded except those two independent witnesses who were present. So now the question was asked before the court when the case went to the trial, that where are those two witnesses in the video? That means those witnesses were not present. They sign on the document later, and if those two witnesses who comes before the court and gives bulmul kind of evidence, then the entire seizure is gone. So all these technical things, technical glitches are coming. I am not talking about the Sikkim. We have uploaded 14 videos because I am closely monitoring, because I am also one of the member of that monitoring committee of this BNSS and all. Along with the Chief Secretary is the chairperson, and me, Home Secretary, then IT Secretary, the DCP Police are the members in that committee who monitors all these things. So they are talking about the case of Rajasthan, I think, the Rajasthan or Gujarat, where this question arose before the court, saying that where are the witnesses? Because you have documented everything, there is a video, okay, seizure was made, but where are those witnesses? They are not in the video. So on that ground, court acquitted the accused. Now there is a huge hue of crime in the prosecution and the police department of that state. So documenting is also very important. I as a दिन में सोचता कि त्यो पनि important है, because just you have a camera and you are making a blog is not enough, right, sir? So you need to be an expert in all those things also. I don't know how the IOs will do all these things, because now IO is not only the IO, he is a cameraman, director, producer, so many things. anything on this?
So I have a small query. It's not a query really, but it's just a room for discussion. Now in BNSS, section 105 has been newly inserted, which talks about this recording of by audiovisual means, the process of search and seizure. Now it says that the police officer shall without delay forward such recording to the district magistrate, SDM or the GMFC. Now, I would like the magistrate to clarify what do the magistrates do after this, because I don't think there is any other provision on how the magistrates are supposed to handle after receiving this recording.
The recording of what now?
The process of search and seizure, 105. I think after any process of search and seizure is recorded, the police are handing it over to you, right? The GMFCs. So what are you all doing after that?
I make it a record that they have submitted on this case, and this is upon this case, and I keep it in the record of the case. I don't hand it back over to them. I just record the fact that they have produced it for me in a pen drive of this case number, this case, and then I keep it on hand.
Then what do you do with it? Submit to the court or?
Yeah, later I haven't done that because it's newly, they have just given the, I feel that I think whenever the charge is submitted, then we will forward it to the trial court. But then doesn't that have to go through the scrutiny?
Magistrate gave it back to the prosecution. And now I have received the same, it's a murder case, I have received the same from the CI. Though it bears the lax seal and everything of the Mangan PS, but now again, I'm sure defense is going to raise the query of it was the chain of custody went back to prosecution. Because the whole reason of it being given to either the DM or the SDM or the GMFC is to maintain the authenticity, not to let it be tampered by giving it back to the prosecution. So since there's no SOP or anything, the BNSS also doesn't say anything on what the magistrate is supposed to do. I don't know, I think this will have to be again, since BNSS is starting very new, it has to go to either the Honorable High Court or the Honorable Supreme Court. There has to be a lot of precedents. But till then, it's a grey area.
It's a grey area, yes.
It's a grey area that we all are, I think.
I think, ma'am, in that case, I think the hash value and all was not calculated or it was not given. So, as with my counterparts in other states, what happens is in such cases, the IO, they produce the video material along with a copy of the hash value and everything. We keep a copy of that and then we return, and then it is returned. The recording as well as the hash value, so whatever data is provided, because they will have to proceed with investigation regarding the thing, the recordings and all. So I think
that's what the hash value was not. Then it was given back to prosecution. Now, is there no?